What's a good word here? Brandon Baylor checking in with you this hour at CBS Sports HQ, and we are officially 90 days away from the NFL season kicking off. The Los Angeles Rams will be looking to defend their title, and since that parade in Tinseltown, they've been busy trying to keep the pieces in place. So far, so good, as they try to focus on running it back in 2022.
Run it back! Run it back! Run it back!
No team has been able to run it back since the Patriots in 2004, but the Rams will begin their title defense at home against the team favored to take over their throne, the Buffalo Bills. The Rams have the fifth best odds to win Super Bowl 57, adding Bobby Wagner and Allen Robinson after losing Von Miller. They also rewarded Matthew Stafford with a rich new deal in hopes that he will be even better in year 2 in Sean McVay's offense. But even repeating as division champs won't be easy, with the 49ers poised for vengeance after losing in LA in the NFC Championship game. San Francisco's roster is stacked, but the Niners may have more questions at this point than any other Super Bowl contender. Deebo Samuel unhappy, and the person who'll be throwing in the football unproven. The jury still out on Trey Lance, and Jimmy Garoppolo remains on the roster and in limbo.
I expect him at some time most likely to be traded, but who knows? It's not a guarantee, and when he's healthy, we'll see what happens.
Meantime, in Arizona, the Cardinals not exactly heading into the season with positive momentum. Chandler Jones left in free agency. DeAndre Hopkins will miss the first 6 games of the season due to a failed PED test. And their franchise quarterback, Kyler Murray, is still looking to be treated like it. He wants a new contract. And in Seattle, the Seahawks in rebuild mode after trading Russell Wilson to the Broncos. They're now left with Drew Lock and Geno Smith as potential starting quarterbacks.
We're making the progress that you can make, but you can't tell till we really start playing.
The NFC West has been one of the best divisions in football for years, and this year, at least at the top, it should be no exception. Will the defending champs rule the division once again, or will a Super Bowl hangover give way to a new division champ?
So the Rams have put together a team that has the potential to win it all again. Yep, that's right. Aaron Donald has one of those ring things now. The last team to do it, the 03-04 Patriots. And you know what? Despite LA paying up for AD this offseason, Matthew Stafford, and bringing in Allen Robinson, Bobby Wagner, they aren't even the favorites in the NFC alone in their conference. That would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won it the prior year with TB12. Oh, and don't forget, Tom Brady is back. Hanging with me, a guy that knows a thing or two about rings, Ryan Harris, of course, checking in with us on HQ. And Ryan, as I mentioned, you have a Super Bowl ring not too long ago with the Broncos. But why is it so hard for teams to do it back-to-back years after winning one?
Well, the first thing, Brandon, is health is wealth, right? I mean, the Super Bowl, when we played it in 2015, that was week 27 of the season. Now with that 17-game schedule, that's week 28. So physically, your body's never the same again. And then let's talk about parties. Everybody likes to party. When would you stop partying after winning the Super Bowl? After the parade, after going to the White House? So there's a great amount of celebration that happens. And the human instinct with success is to get complacent and comfortable. That makes it another issue. And then again, the roster. Every NFL season, the roster changes. The Rams roster has changed with the departure of Von Miller going to Buffalo. And that's just one of the changes. So health is wealth. Put a cap on that celebration, which it's hard for any of us to do. And then lastly, those rosters change so quickly.
You mentioned change. There were 2 huge question marks after that Super Bowl win. Sean McVay was rumored about maybe going into broadcasting and hanging it up after that win. Aaron Donald even thought about retiring, but they're both back now. When you break it down, which is more important? Are we looking at Donald back or Sean McVay?
Aaron Donald being back. I mean, I was having dinner with an offensive lineman who went to the Pro Bowl last year. I said, tell me about Aaron Donald. He put down his fork and knife, which rarely happens with a lineman, starts moving his shoulders saying, he's Hall of Fame level, everything he does. I said, well, what move is it that's best? He says, everything, the club, the spin, the stab. And one of the things people don't know about Aaron Donald is he practices the art of Krav Maga, the martial art that is a hand-to-hand combat style. He and I had the same instructor when I was at the Steelers and he was at the Panthers of Pittsburgh, but he's really a dominant force that sparks fear in the hearts of even the best linemen in the NFL. Sean McVay, as cool as he is, his haircut, his shoes, the TV shows, all of that are great, but he's never on the field. And there may be no player in the NFL that strikes greater fear in the hearts of opponents than Aaron Donald.
Taking a look at it, you see his resume here, Ryan. Look, he's one of the best ever. If he hung it up, you easily say he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But as it stands right now with him coming back, where does he rank among defensive players for you?
He's number one. I mean, there's a discussion between him and TJ Watt, but Aaron Donald's the defending champion. He's been there. He got that weight off of his shoulders by winning a championship, and he really played dominantly throughout the playoffs last year. So when the best player has their greatest success, when everybody's trying to stop them, that makes them the best. I do like TJ Watt, as I mentioned, and we'll see if TJ Watt can break now his own record for single-season sacks. But Aaron Donald is devastating, and the Rams can start moving him around. One of the things I anticipate is them to move him around a little more than they did even last year, put him on a defensive end. So I'll tell you something. Sometimes when I was going against Ndamukong Suh, if he moved out from a guard position onto me, I was like, oh, no. Make those tackles think about Aaron Donald. Put fear across that offensive line and wreak havoc. So I think that Aaron Donald's production is just beginning because now not only does he have security with that contract, but he also can move around on that defensive line, striking fear in the hearts of my fellow offensive linemen.
You mentioned the money that's been thrown around there, that 31.6, of course, head into his piggy bank. But the Rams, they've been spending money like Scrooge McDuck here. He's not the only one. Cooper Kupp getting a well-deserved 3 years, $80 million extension. This all coming off a year, of course, the Super Bowl MVP and the Triple Crown. What do we expect from him here after getting paid?
Well, congratulations to Cooper Kupp. He earned that deal. Somebody must have taken your wallet, Brandon, because a lot of players are getting paid there at the Los Angeles Rams. People forget, too, Cooper Kupp almost had 2,000 yards receiving last year, led the league in receiving, did all those things, and he proved something that a lot of people in the NFL doubted. They doubted that wide receivers could take over a game and win you one. He did that with just an 11 yards per catch average in the Super Bowl, but he was incredible. He made a lot of fantasy football champions, and he also made the city of Los Angeles champions with the Rams. That was a phenomenal performance in that Super Bowl, especially in the fourth quarter. So he earned it, and I was frankly surprised. Of that 3 years, $80 million, 75 of it's guaranteed. What's he, a pitcher in baseball? This is a phenomenal deal. I don't know how the Rams did it, but congrats to Cooper Kupp. He earned it, and he really did a lot for that wide receiver position moving forward because a lot of eyes now believe that wide receivers can win you a championship.
Yeah, my wallet just laughed as you mentioned that there is no money in this pocket. I guarantee it's very thin over here. But you mentioned, of course, the departure of Von Miller. But look, they did reload on the offensive defense. Bobby Wagner, we know what he's done with Seattle. Allen Robinson, if he's healthy, he could be that number one wide receiver in this offense. But which is a greater impact you expect this upcoming season between the two?
Bobby Wagner, 100%. And nothing against Allen Robinson. He's really getting the benefit of the doubt from people that of his past success. But I'll tell you something, from playing against Bobby Wagner, one, he's physically imposing. That is a huge linebacker. I thought he was a tight end the first time I saw him. Like, what are they doing putting a tight end at middle? Oh, that's Bobby Wagner. And then he also has an urgency. One of the things fans miss is that veteran players who've won Super Bowls who are looking for another one, they have an urgency. Bobby Wagner knows he's not going to play another 5 years in the NFL. And what that urgency translates to is accountability on the field in practice when no one's looking. So one, you get a physically dominant specimen like Bobby Wagner there, but also that urgency that you might have lost by getting rid of Von Miller, allowing him to leave in free agency, should I say. But Bobby Wagner, he is another defensive player that strikes fear in the hearts of people. Imagine being a quarterback. You look down, Aaron Donald's telling you he's going to eat you for lunch. And then you got Bobby Wagner saying, I dare you to throw it over the middle. That's a tough place to play. That's a tough defense to look at. And that's what the Rams have now in those signings.
That quarterback in the middle of that defense, as you mentioned there, we saw for many years there with Seattle, now heading to L.A. But what's the most underrated offseason move, if there is one, for the Rams so far?
Well, I would say that for them, making sure that they landed Aaron Donald. I mean, we never heard a young player like that say that they're going to retire, that they're okay with retiring, even though there are contract negotiations happening. But if you lost Von Miller and you lost Aaron Donald, that's a huge hole in your defense, huge hole in leadership. So keeping Aaron Donald playing football and playing football for the Rams, those were some underrated moves. I also like Jalen Ramsey. You know, he's doing very well, and he's three-time All-Pro, excuse me. I mean, that's a great player, too, to add to that secondary, and they're going to need some help as they lost their secondary coach, Ejiro Evero, who's now the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos.
So plenty of underrated moves that you mentioned there between the Rams. We'll see how that pans out. I'm curious, the most difficult part of the schedule, because as we know, we just mentioned at the top, it's hard to run it back. But what's the most difficult trek you see so far on their schedule?
Well, October 30th, I hope that the Rams have a good Halloween costume, because they go to the 49ers, the Buccaneers, and then they face the Cardinals, and then go to the Saints, only to go north to Kansas City. That's going to be a gauntlet. They got to go 3 of 5 on that run. That's a tough stretch in the season, a stretch when injuries do matter, and that's something where that could make or break their season. And for that reason, I think it's going to be hard for them to get 12 wins.
All right. I was going to ask you about that, the prediction number total. They did have 12 a season ago. You mentioned a different team, but then we know what happened. They went on to win their Super Bowl. Give me a record prediction of where you see them panning out in 2022.
Hey, Rams fans don't hate me, but I'm telling you, I see a 10-7 record for the Rams. That's going to be tough. You got an improved Arizona. Yes, Hopkins is out for the first 6 weeks, but they got Hollywood Brown. You also are going to be facing, as I have mentioned, the Chiefs, the Rams. The Chiefs and the Buccaneers. That's a tough place to be. And so that's going to be tough for them to get that whole entire 12 wins back. You also play the Cowboys in there, and that's going to be an interesting situation. Add the Packers and the Chargers. I mean, you could easily be 9-8, but I think they're going to be 10-7, getting a wild card spot. Still got a chance to make it to the NFC Championship, but don't think Tom Brady forgot about how they beat him in the NFC Championship last year. He's coming for revenge. This is going to be a tough schedule for the Rams, and they've earned it because they were the best team in the NFL just last year.
And they get your Broncos and Chargers towards the end of the season, week 16 and 17, so we'll see how that panned out there. How about some futures bets to place on them?
I'm taking the under on 10.5 wins. I know that's rare with the Super Bowl champion, but you look at that schedule, it's going to be tough. Health-wise, too. The Rams are pretty healthy going into that Super Bowl. They really only lost Odell Beckham Jr., and they may even bring him back. So provided that their health maintains, it should be easy to beat. But I got the under on 10.5 wins because of their schedule, and because especially when you pay big money like that, hopefully everyone stays healthy. But rarely does your roster stay healthy in the NFL, and you got a lot of money locked up in 2 players that really restrict your abilities to bring on talent throughout the year.
You are doubling down on hurting the Rams fans with these 10 wins back to back. I just don't know, Ryan. I thought we were all making friends here in HQ, but it's all right. It's okay. All right.
They can go back to back, but they're going to have to climb the ladder from the bottom, from the bottom to the top instead of from the top to the top like they did last year.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. I see what you're saying. All right, Ryan Harris, you stick with us for a little bit. I want to take a look at some of those Rams odds when it comes to their own division, the NFC West. We know how difficult it's been over the years, but of course the Rams coming out on top last year, leading to that Lombardi. Coming in at plus 135, definitely on their heels, not too far. You got the Niners at plus 190. The Seahawks, they got some work to do, especially figuring out who's going to be QB1 at plus 1,400.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.